Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the, the 6th episode of the New Gods podcast with my good friends, a Dark Raccoon, Fourpeople, and All Bones Jones. And today we have a very special episode. A very special episode today. One that Fourpeaule's been waiting for quite some time. We're going to be talking about...
Also...
You go ahead.
Did you just say good morning?
Yeah, good morning.
He always says that. What do you mean?
I never noticed that.
Buddy, you ask his name. He's Mao. What's your name, Mao? What's your name, Mao? What's your name, Mao?
What do you mean? It's not like when it's morning, you say good dark raccoon morning or something. What do you mean?
This is my catchphrase. Everybody needs a catchphrase. I'm gonna have it on like shirts and mugs.
Start saying that, Raccoon.
Yeah.
Dark rack morning.
Dark rack morning. Yeah, there you go. Good Dark Rack morning, everybody, and welcome to the New Gods podcast.
For Apollo, morning will be like fart morning, maybe.
No, I usually say
morning,
good morning.
Feed morning because he's into feed. I forgot.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I dissociate myself from this. I say always good morning, Frappollers. Okay,
yes. So today's topic is games like Fear and Hunger that we've played. And you know what? I'm just going to let Fourpeaule take the floor here because he's been waiting to do this for a very long time.
Okay, so I have to start with some considerations. Remember, the game I'm gonna suggest, it's not suggested to an audience that is not at least 18, okay? You have to be, how do you say it in English? You don't have to be a minor, okay?
Before you say a name, Apollo, has someone been banned from showcasing this content on YouTube without being censored?
Without being censored, yes, someone has been banned, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways,
in Hunger, there have been people who have shown the content uncensored and are still up. So be careful of showing this without... Yes. Fear Hunger without censor, it's okay.
Oh yeah, Fear and Hunger
without censor is okay.
Yes. Yeah. But not this one. I forgot to mention.
This one has to be censored, of course.
A lot of people think that's what got Ketsueki banned off YouTube. The Alona never mind, I shouldn't have spoiled that.
Yeah, because Ketsueki, we're gonna run to Ketsueki in a second, by the way. So the point is, premise, I don't support any type of scenes shown in the game, but the gameplay of the game itself is what made me stay. The game is called Lona RPG, and basically the premise of it is there is this gigantic plague, we may call it plague, which is a sort of virus that infects people, makes them die. It's like a sort of plague, okay? And because of that, you are a poor girl. You arrive to this city. The whole plan of the game, which is available from the start, is to leave the island. Leave the island using a ship. You need money for that. You can gain money by doing quests, by killing enemies, and doing a lot of stuff, basically. And while you do that, you also discover a huge part of the world. There is a very deep story, which also involves like gods at one point, about what caused the plague, the infested part of the village, etc. Of course, since it's an age game, there are gonna be some moments in which your character is gonna be brutalized or something, okay? But if you're able to overcome those, there is no implemented censor mode in the game. If you're able to overcome those scenes in particular, I have to tell you, the game in question is very good. The gameplay, it's an action RPG in 4 axes. You literally are able to slash with the sword. You can use staffs in order to cast spells, and it has a low skill floor, but a very high skill ceiling, because the enemies at some points become so crazy and so powerful that you literally have to play with a lot of strategy in your mind. Also, there is features like the weight of the items in the inventory, so you have to strategize what to bring. And the reason for which I say it resembles Fear and Hunger, it's because the premise and the tone that the game contains through all of it, it's the same. It's a world condemned. It's a world full of damnation, full of torment. The people basically don't want to live anymore, okay? Do you understand what I mean? Perfect. And everywhere you go, it's full of monsters that are gonna try to kill you, or to do other stuff, of course. But that's not the important part. The important part is the feeling that you have inside of the game of trying to play sneaky, of trying to avoid the conflict, really reminded me of Fear and Hunger. I played before Lone RPG, and then the funny thing is, when I was bringing Lone RPG, the way in which I discovered Fear and Hunger is because I searched in a sort of way games like Lone RPG, and I found the Heartless Angel Ketsueki channel, which had also Fear and Hunger soundtrack. Without Lone RPG, today, we wouldn't be here, probably. Who knows?
I think that explains a lot, actually.
What do you mean that explains a lot?
The Loner RPG to Fear and Hunger pipeline. It's real.
Oh, okay, yeah, in that sense. Yeah, exactly. Like, without Lone RPG, genuinely, you may disagree with the themes of the game. I don't blame you, because I understand those themes have to be treated in a certain way. But the point is, if you're able to overcome those, Lone RPG is still a great game, in my opinion.
So what... You said it was like action RPG, but what games are similar to it in the gameplay sense? Because I'm not really familiar with that sort of idea.
Oh, similar to the gameplay of Lone RPG. Have you ever played Xenonia, for example, for cell phone?
No.
Okay, have you ever played... I mean, it's literally... it's the same combat system of a game like Dark Souls, okay? But it's in 4 axes and in a pixel game, basically.
Oh, okay. Would you say... Have you played the 2D Zelda games?
I have never... I played one time for like a couple of hours the SNES version of a Zelda game on Nintendo 3DS, I think. And yeah, it's kind of like that.
Okay, that's interesting. And it's got like full like RPG stats then too.
It has all the stats you can increase, your strength, your defense, your survivability, and I saw Dark Raccoon in the podcast voice chat saying that I made the game result so boring. Raccoon, what do you have to say? Why do you think the game is boring?
I don't know, it actually sounds interesting.
You're not good at selling a game so far.
Okay, guys that are listening, remember this when we arrive to Raccoon that is gonna talk about a game, okay? When you arrive to Raccoon, I'm gonna freaking destroy you, idiot, okay? But anyways, yeah, this is Lone RPG, basically.
Would you say it's like, you know, this term basically almost has no meaning, but you know how people use the word immersive sim for some games? Is it like that?
Immersive, it depends, because in my opinion there are a lot of goofy moments which kinda... you could say they fit the situation, because, you know, in a desolated world, of course, goofy moments are required in order to freaking, you know, stay sane, don't go crazy or something. But still, I wouldn't call it immersive from my point of view, at least, because the longer I played it, and the more I was thinking about just min-maxing the stats and playing well. Like, the plot was good, but at one point I was playing. I was playing just because I wanted to be sure to survive, but not in the sense of surviving as in character decimation. Surviving as in gameplay-wise. You know what I mean?
Okay. I think I was kind of asking in terms of like how they use the word immersive sim to sort of have games that are like more open and there's lots of different solutions for the same problem. People have been throwing that word around for Fear and Hunger, and I don't know, but you know how there's like a million different ways to tackle each enemy, like, you know, you run away, you put traps down, you shoot them, you know, a million different ways in combat. I think the idea behind it is that there's just a lot of different ways to tackle almost every single puzzle.
The definition of an immersive sim is a game that lets you both break down doors and stack boxes.
Yeah.
You know, about that thing of the dismemberment of the guard, yesterday I was looking at some bad reviews of Termina, because I'm starting something with Termina, and
Wait,
I saw the most
video?
important... I will not say anything else, but let's say that I saw a very important bad review, which was like, when you cut off the stinger of an opponent, you would expect the opponent to at least get stunned. For some reason. And that was the review. Bad review for the game.
I think
they arrived to the woodsman. What?
I think I'd be stunned if my stinger got cut off.
Yeah, but like, bro, like I think they arrived to the woodsman or something. They cut off the appendage.
Yeah.
The woodsman didn't get stunned, and they just said, bro, why I cut off one body part and they don't get stunned?
Yes, not that sort of game, bro. Get ready.
Well, speaking from personal experience, when you go for a groin shot like that, one of two things happens. Either the fight ends then and there and they stop moving because of the pain, or you make them so mad that they are going to probably beat you unconscious.
I mean, if you think about it...
Always one of the two.
The unconscious part is actually present in Fear and Hunger when you get cut off by the swinging blades in the gauntlet. Like, in there you literally pass away in that moment after you get cut off.
I mean, like, yeah, it's kind of, like, the whole dismemberment system's kind of, kind of not really realistic anyway. Obviously, if you get your arm cut off, you're not staying in a fight, right? You're just dying. Like,
yeah.
So, you gotta take it with a grain of salt.
Say that, but I took, God, what the heck was it? Like, friggin' 10 centimeters of steel combat knife to the shoulder, and I still won that fight?
Jeez. Well, I've seen people say that, like, knife fights, when you get stabbed with a knife, it's either, the description is either stabbed 38 times and survives, or gets stabbed once in the wrong spot and instantly dies. It nicks an artery and you just bleed out in like 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened to someone around here not too long ago, and it's why you don't try MMA takedowns in a street fight.
Jeez. Why'd you stab him?
You don't. I wasn't involved this time, all right? I do have stories that I'm not involved in,
You're usually the instigator, so I just assumed.
But yeah, like the guy sort of crouched down and charged in and tried to grab him and flip him to the ground, and that sort of standard pattern puts your neck at really easy exposure to anyone with a knife, which is why you never want to use that.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty rough. So did you have anything else?
Also,
oh, sorry.
Even if he had survived, he used one of those on concrete, so his knees certainly wouldn't have survived the fight.
Yeah, screw that. Yeah, for Apollo, did you have anything else you wanted to say about Lona before we move on?
Really, I just want to say once again that I dissociate myself from the, the possibility of people misunderstanding what I want to say. Some people are even arguing that in Fear and Hunger, the particular scenes that you see are technically gross. They say that they don't fit well, etc. This is the same. I am being the same person for Lona RPG. I don't care about those scenes. I only care about the gameplay. Like, for me, the game could not have those scenes and be the same or even better. Just wanted to precise in case people are gonna think that fourpeople plays a game where apparently you can do those things happen with the characters.
Yeah,
bro. You played Fear and Hunger where there is literally the pocket cat that wants to freaking take the girl.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
Cancel for Apollo, it'll be funny.
I mean, it depends from how it's... Okay, let's also clarify this, because I want to bring this up, guys. Do you agree with me that it also depends from how it's treated? Because
exactly.
Maybe it doesn't...
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly, it doesn't have to be also explicit, like the pocket cat thing that he rubs the pocket. That's perfect, that's the best, one of the best possible limits. It arrives to that precise point, never overcomes it, and it still creates that sense of, really do you want to do that to the girl? That's what I mean.
Yeah, like, you do see that complaint about Fear and Hunger all the time, and it's like, it's okay for media to have dark themes and explore them. Obviously I haven't played Lona, so I don't know like what it gets into. But like that conversation comes up all the time with Fear and Hunger, and it's like, no, I don't support these things happening in the game. Like, obviously not, I don't support it. It's some horrible stuff, right? The game is just interesting and it tackles these themes in a really interesting way. So it's art should be able to tackle a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, like...
Okay. So who wants to go next with any other games they played that have similar vibes to Fear and Hunger? Raccoon? I heard you were playing an interesting one.
Right. I want to hear Raccoon now, since apparently I'm boring when discussing a game. Go ahead, Raccoon.
I didn't really get much about how the game worked for Bolo when you explained. Like I
No. I accept the critic, but now I want to hear you talking about a game.
Okay. So recently I played a game called Materialization of Memories.
Materialization of memories.
Yeah, very long name, which is in the game explained as the process of having everything in a world become completely fucked up, like having zombies, monsters, having your own body warp into just a monster.
Okay.
That's what the materialization effect is. Now, imagine fear and hunger
Mm.
without the limb loss, and with a combat with every single limb taking a turn to attack you in the first turn.
That sounds really painful.
It is very painful. It is very painful. So in this game, it's pretty much fear and hunger. Everything like movement, dodging enemies, even having a party. But your whole party starts with everything unlocked. So you will not have any character growing through the story, right? It's just you knowing what works and what doesn't against enemies, and trying to one-shot every single enemy you see going for the torso. Because if you go for the head, you don't kill them, you remove an attack from them. If you go for the arms, you don't kill them, you remove an attack from them.
Oh, so that
is the whole game.
So there kind of is limb loss. It just doesn't cut it off. It just stops it from attacking.
Yeah, you stop them from attacking pretty much. The only way to kill an enemy is to go for the torso.
Oh, okay.
And some enemies have limbs with no attacks, so they have limbs just to trick you. And the torso is the only way they attacks. And the torso can have up to 3 attacks now. So, yes, you see the head, it's like, just the head. You ignore the head, the head stands your whole party. You lose the game.
Wow.
And you know what's the worst part about this that I really cannot understand? Why it's in the game? You cannot run away from fights.
Like at all?
You can't. You get into the fight, you're forced to fight it.
This game sounds pretty painful.
It is. It is. The only way that I have been able to successfully figure out how to play it properly is to have guns, which work the same way as Levi does in Fear Hunger 2, and shoot every single enemy from far away as if you were using a pistol until they go down. That is the only way. And you see the enemy, you juke him away. Because if you get into a fight with an enemy, like you get into a fight with a dog, you expect like 2 dogs maximum, right? At times. In this game, you can get up to 8 dogs at the same time.
What?
And they're all dangerous, yes.
I don't know. This game is
and you know what the
balanced.
Dogs do? Yeah. You know what the game does? It gives you armor and weapons that lower your agility. If you have less than 25 agility, which you usually start with 20 agility, which you need to drop your armor right away. If you have less than 25, the enemy is going to have the turn first. And the first enemies poison you, lower your agility, stun you even. So, yep. Nice. Nice. So, but you know what? You know what it is, Mao?
What is it?
All that I said just now sounds like a bad game, doesn't it?
It sounds pretty awful, yeah.
Yes. This is one of the few games that I have played that makes me hate it, but makes me respect it because of the fact that I see that the game is trying to teach me something. It's trying to keep me down from understanding something, but I choose to not understand exactly what it is throwing at me, because I was able to beat a few enemies without taking damage by going for specific playstyles. Because you have a lot of abilities. You have like every single character, you have 3 at all times. Every single character has like skills that help in a way or shape the fight around. Like for example, if you know an enemy is going to stun you, you can taunt with a character and have someone who's like the doctor, for example, who's slower and preemptively apply anti-stun for the whole team. So you get stunned after attacking with the fastest character, and then you heal the stun. But when you heal a status effect with the doctor, you deal damage to the whole team enemy, to the whole enemy team. So it's interesting.
It does sound pretty similar to Fear and Hunger, where it seems really brutal at the start, but if you keep trying, you'll slowly work your way through it.
That is how I'm feeling right now with the game. It's like, man, I had no choice to understand how I just got one shot. Because you know when you see an enemy in Fear and Hunger and they attack, they show their limb glowing for a bit and then they attack. In this game, they barely show. You have like a split second to see which limb had attacked you. You don't have the chance to see it properly. And you remind me of something. Earthbound, for example, right?
Yeah.
Have you played it?
Ages ago, yeah.
You know when you're about to die, like the enemy just one shots you, and you can actually heal yourself, I believe.
Oh, because the
while
health
you're
like
losing
ticks
your
down,
HP.
right?
Exactly. You can do that with status effects. If you know that's coming up, you can parry a status effect.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like you didn't have it at all. So like there's things that Fear and Hunger hasn't done or hasn't tried yet, let's say. And I gotta say there's a lot of cool things like that make me feel like I'm making a mistake, but I feel like the game has a specific way for me to play that I haven't figured out yet. I've got 2 playthroughs of this game, and I'm probably going for the third at some point. But the only bad thing that I would say that is just completely bad that I cannot accept, sadly, is it's translated in a style that I think maybe, I have no idea, but maybe it was translated with Google Translate, and there's a lot of things from I believe from Russian translated to English. And one of the things in the game that I don't know why it is there is like stop running away like a frying pan. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. Stop running away like a frying pan. And I see it's like, okay.
What language was it originally?
I believe Russian. I don't really know, honestly. I wouldn't like to guess, but I think it's Russian.
Any Russian fans in the viewers, can you let us know if running away like a frying pan is a Russian saying?
I asked. I had a lot of people watching when I was streaming it. No one knew. No one knew. But as far as I know, this game was developed while the Russia thing was going on at the time, the war.
Oh, okay. It's still going, I think.
So, still going. I don't know much about it. I don't keep up with news outside where I live because it's very hard here in Argentina. But I believe that's the reason why there's some parts of the game where it's not properly translated. There's some rushed parts here and there. Maybe it's not a fully done game. But I want it to be recognized because if I cannot see something that is, a gem, doesn't mean that I should, push it away. I should support it, right? Someone will love this game, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to push it down. Yeah. And as far as I know, the developer said that they're not going to be working on more games because they don't have the time. But I love to have it supported. And I will be making a review of this game maybe in the near future because I went through 2 playthroughs where I recorded. My first playthrough took me 14 hours, and the second one took me 5 hours. So I have a lot of content to be able to show it in a review.
Pretty long then for an indie game.
Yeah. Yes. It's mostly because of knowledge. Once you know the game, you can finish it fast. You hear me that it took me 5 hours.
Yeah.
As a game that I didn't know,
that
40 hours.
last phrase you said, it's mostly because of knowledge, really reminds me of Fear and Hunger, because even Fear and Hunger is completely about knowledge. So,
yes.
Interesting.
You could try it out, Frapolo, but I just advise you that it's going to be hard to get through the game.
Yeah, despite your description being boring, the game itself seems interesting.
Alright, Mao, review. Which one was boring, Frapolo or mine?
So what is there anything else that sort of separates it from Fear and Hunger? Anything else that might immediately strike a player that when they started up that might say this isn't Fear and Hunger?
I know which one because I was present in the stream.
I know what you're trying to say. Yes. It's a furry game.
No, not that part.
It's a furry game.
The same discussion that I made with Lona. As long as the gameplay is good, it doesn't matter if it's a furry game or not. If the gameplay is good, I'm gonna like it. But the point is, you were frustrated by one particular thing when I was on your stream. You were walking around and there were invisible traps or something, correct?
Oh, I cannot believe I forgot about that. Sorry, but yeah, numero uno, furry game. I got contacted by the developer, giving me a free key because he thought that I was a furry. And because I did Fear and Hunger,
you
guys,
are furry!
I'm not a furry! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
You're Dark Raccoon! Raccoon!
No!
Whatever. Sorry. No,
And
sorry, it was my brother.
How do you live that deep in denial?
Yeah.
Listen
Sorry,
to me,
Raccoon.
Jones. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take taking
Sorry,
this.
my
Not
friend,
because you
sorry.
watch anime, you're a fucking otaku, for example.
No, it doesn't
Yeah,
work like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I can read Japanese.
Yeah,
Like,
well, we're
obviously
VTubers.
I'm an otaku. What the hell are you talking about?
What? Damn.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're,
that's
we're
just
massive
for me,
weebs. You don't become a VTuber without becoming a massive weeb, sorry.
Listen to me.
But
I'm gonna
anyways,
explain
let's go back
this.
to the-
All right, give me a second. Go back to this. In materialization memories, there are invisible traps in the world. Like, for example, you're walking around and there's, in Fear and Hunger, you see those nails on the floor, right?
Mm.
That you step on in the first game. Or in, well, in Fear and Hunger 2, there's the bear traps or the mines. If you are moving this into materialization, it's pretty much there's going to be a nail that is barely visible if you're moving around. At times, not even visible on the floor, that will do 30 damage to your character or 20 damage, or it will take away 20 mine, 10 mine, put you in a status effect of poison, or anything like that. In almost the whole game, there's like, I would say maybe more than 600 of
What
this.
What? And you just can't see them?
And you can barely see them, but there's a point in the game where they give you a radio that's like this noise. It goes beep 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 when you're close to it, and by close I mean 2 steps away, but it's invisible, and you're gonna be running around at the Fear and Hunger 1 speed of dash,
That's ridiculous.
and you'll step on it, and you'll get angry. And healing and mana is very, very, very scarce in this game.
It seems like this game
That
is
is
masochistic.
the thing. It kinda is. Of course, when you know where everything is, it feels good. It feels good to just dodge it. But man, I cannot with that. I actually forgot that existed, to be honest. I was like, man, I already have enough with the enemies, not being able to run away from them. But nope. No. No. And I hate it. I fucking hate it. But I want people to try it out, like I said before. I don't know. I don't know.
All right,
That's more
chatters,
food.
you heard it here first. Raccoon wants more furries, so get to it.
No, I want
All right.
more Fear and Hunger games. I don't want furries.
The first
I
one
don't
was
give a
an
fuck
H
fucking
game.
furries.
The second one is a furry game. The third one, who's gonna go for the third game of the day?
Bones, can you save us? Can you save us from this hell we're in right now?
Yeah, I can recommend several games that aren't perverted.
Let's go. Let's hear
And
them.
are similar to Fear and Hunger.
But the thing is, when you want a game that's like Fear and Hunger, which part of it do you value most? And that controls how I'm going to answer this question. Like, to me, what makes Fear and Hunger is the fact that everything has their dick out.
Is that it?
That's a valid point. That's a valid point.
That's
That's
like
basically it, because every other component of it you can find in other games, and I know games that have most of those components. Like, if you like the deep, meaningful, and relatively quick battle system, with a lot of really interesting but completely logical combinations of different skills that produce meaningful effects and dramatically change how you approach almost everything, I'd have to recommend a Final Fantasy V as something that's like Fear and Hunger.
True, or even like Darkest Dungeon on this road.
But
Miro said he
if you're-
loves all the Final Fantasy games. He's like on his like top games list. Half of it is just Final Fantasy games.
hopefully it's the good ones and not the terrible ones.
I think it's like every single one. So I think it's all of them.
Oh
I
god.
play only the worst
no.
ones, sadly. I play the worst ones. That's what I say now.
Which one is the worst one, Raccoon?
The one where Van exists.
Well, Van. Wait, that's the 12. The worst one is
Yeah.
the 13.
As far as I know, 12 is the worst one, they say to me, so I play the worst one. I love Van.
Depends.
So,
The 12 is very bad, but I think the 13 is worse.
I think 2 is the worst.
Who? Why? Because of gameplay or because of story? Sorry, this discussion
gameplay
was about game
mostly.
like Fear and Hunger, but
no,
I'm
it's fine.
interested
It's
now.
fine.
No, the story
Gameplay,
of 2 is actually pretty fucking metal. You know how you have like the traditional story of like, oh yeah, evil emperor and yada 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 taking over the world?
Yeah, and not only,
It's-
like, in 2, I love that the Emperor actually is able to sort of win, if you think about it. Like, in the end, you literally fight Satan and Jesus, like, you know.
Yeah, so the thing about 2 is that it has the generic emperor story, but
Yeah.
you kill him partway through the story, and then he comes back, not because of some contrived revival system, but because he's such a complete badass that he took over hell and invaded Earth from there.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So
And
the
so you don't like it
story,
because of...
the
Yeah.
story is generic, but has a really good plot beat to it. But the gameplay is atrociously bad.
Why? If I can ask.
Well, the entire leveling system is just horrible. The fact that one of the best things you can do to build a character successfully is like equip him
No,
with
don't
2
say it.
shields.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Don't tell
2
me that you gotta
shields
kill
and
a
a
specific
attack.
enemy with one character to level up.
Oh
Don't
god, if
say
only.
it.
No, you have to like equip 2 shields and
Mm.
have people beat on him and have him sit in the front row, and if you do it long enough, he gains infinite evasion, and your back row can't be attacked while the guy with infinite evasion is up front. And
You know...
you need to keep his hit points low so the final boss can't use his hit points to heal infinitely, because the whole system's just hosed.
No, you know what's the problem, Jones? I also watched some videos about this. There is a very interesting video about Final Fantasy II in particular. The point is, yeah, you can do that. But who tells you have to do that? Like, it's the same of using the debug spots in Fear and Hunger in order to gain immediately 2 party members, a lot of items, etc. Like, you can do that. But it's not like the game is pointing a gun at you and saying, bro, you have to use those, otherwise I'm gonna kill you. No. Like,
I mean,
when
it kind of does at the final boss fight, because his attacks drain hit points. So if you try to make a standard meat wall with a ton of hit points, you can easily run into a situation where it's literally impossible by the game's math to deal more damage than it heals per turn.
I mean, that's true, but the problem is the boss. It's not the whole combat system. Like, do you understand what I mean? Also, there are some weapons. I played the 2 like years ago, but if I remember correctly, there are some weapons that are able to deal incredible damage to him. Like, there was a sword called like the Blood Sword, I think, which is like obtained in the Pandemonium, which is the final zone or something. And that sword helps a lot against the final boss. And apart from that, like,
I mean, realistically, the best way to fight the final boss is to cast Reflect on a party member and then have your character with the weakest magic stat cast Toad on the person with Reflect. Because if his magic stat is low enough, it'll play the animation and kill the boss instantly. But if it's so high that it could succeed, then it won't work.
But then again,
is that like
the
a
point,
programming
you
bug or
could do that,
intended?
but I think that's a bug.
Nothing in 2 works as intended. Like, the strongest spell in the game, Ultima, the way it's supposed to work is that it takes the sum of all of the levels you have across all spells and uses that to calculate its damage, except instead it just doesn't work. And it just sucks.
Oh, it doesn't? I thought it worked.
Nope, does not work. At least not in the original.
Oh, okay, understandable.
Wow.
But still, like, another strategy that they suggest is like hitting yourself, because it increases HP, the
Yep,
damage,
that's one of the best
def-
ways to actually grind. You just stab yourself repeatedly.
But like, I watched a video of someone that did this for 30 minutes, and the results were not kinda different. Like, the one that hit himself had more HP, but the rest was mostly the same, except that he didn't have fun while doing it. Like, he genuinely spent a lot of time just going back to the inn and resting. And the main point is, yeah, you can do that and gain so many HP, you don't have to care about any enemies anymore. But like, is that really what you want to do? It's like saying, I'm gonna play Pokemon, but you know what? Before continuing, I'm gonna level up my Charmander to level 100 to become a Charizard. After that, I can just go to the Pokemon League immediately.
Well, that's far from the only issue it has. Like, spells level up as you cast them, and higher level spells cost more MP to use. So if there's one spell that you use a lot, like Lightning, it'll level up to the point that you can't cast it anymore.
No, that's not true, because the MP are gonna increase, no?
No, I've had that happen. I literally had that
Really?
happen in my playthrough. Yeah, I cast fire so much that I couldn't cast fire anymore. the whole leveling system is a really early prototype of stuff that actually is kind of common today, where the more you do a thing, the better it gets.
Mm.
But because it was one of the first things that ever did it did it really badly.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a good system, of course. Like, it was implemented very badly, but it's not even the opposite. Like, it's not like it was the worst system ever. Like, okay, that situation can happen, but even if you cannot cast fire anymore, you still have Blizzard, you still have Thunder. Like, you still have some stuff to use.
I only bought fire.
That's a you problem, though. Like, why didn't you level up all the spells simultaneously? Then
because
again,
I was fighting things that were weak to fire.
Yeah, but
I was
like,
fighting
then again,
things
if you
that were
play
weak
Pokemon,
to fire, so I was casting fire on them because I wasn't really relying on magic, and then I couldn't use fire anymore. The fact
I know, but then again, like,
is just one of the many issues that it has as a system. There's also the fact that if you accidentally go south instead of north on the world map from the starting town, you die. Because south of the starting town is end game world map areas, and there's nothing stopping you from walking in there and getting immediately flattened by the first random encounter.
I love that though. That's great.
I love that too.
It's a mess of a game in so many different ways. But
yeah, it's a mess, but it's a beautiful mess.
Like, other things that I wanted to suggest that were Fear and Hunger likes, since this isn't the Final Fantasy podcast.
You're right, sorry.
Is well, if you want this sort of cosmic horror and incredibly oppressive atmosphere and distinctly challenging, merciless, and unforgiving gameplay, I have to recommend La Mulana.
La Mulana.
How do you write it?
LA space MULANA.
Oh, okay.
It's not an RPG, it's a Metroidvania. It has genuinely one of the most fascinating stories I have ever seen in a video game, particularly the world building. Because, like, if you wanted to summarize the story of Fear and Hunger, it's some guys go into a dungeon to rescue Griffith. If you wanted to summarize the story of Dark Souls, it would be, you gotta stop the fire from fading or, like, extinguish the fire. If you want to summarize the story of La Mulana, the most realistically succinct way you could put it is that the author sincerely attempted to recreate the original religion that fractured off into various other religions, such as Hinduism, Asatru, etc., as well as honestly trying to recreate the Proto-Indo-European language as well as its culture.
Jones, I swear, you said La Mulana one time. I don't know if it was in text or in the voice chat the other time, but I just got like trauma going back into my life because I remember playing that game as a teenager and I could not do anything to beat it, and I remember spending so much time on it. I tried to go back like when you said that a few weeks ago, but I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not.
That's the other thing. This game is mercilessly brutal to a degree that it is one of the few games I have not managed to finish.
Oh, wait, you mean brutal like in difficult?
No, it's so cryptic. It's so cryptic.
It's simultaneously cryptic and exceptionally difficult in gameplay as well. Like, I remember seeing one of the later puzzles. It's an optional puzzle, thankfully, but the most practical solution involves at least having a college-level understanding of basic combinatoric mathematics.
What?
Because
what is combinatoric mathematics?
Combinatorics is... God, how do I even phrase this? It's related to set theory? This isn't going to clarify anything to anyone, is it?
No.
No.
Are we just too brainless to even understand what it is?
I will use the internet because I cannot think of a good way to succinctly say it.
You can hear Jones typing in his voice.
I'm not joking. The easiest way to describe it is the mathematics surrounding the idea of being able to count abstract things.
Like imaginary numbers?
imaginary numbers are part of it. It has a lot of stuff to do with, like, null set and imaginary numbers being a separate set from real numbers that still fall under the set of numbers.
Was this a children game,
No.
or was it like a? Oh, okay.
No, this was never a child's game. One of my favorite puzzles in it that I felt really smart about solving is that you are given the hint that you need to search where the Anunnaki refuses to look.
Okay.
What's the Anunnaki?
An Anunnaki is a specific figure from Sumerian mythology, and when I got into a specific room, I remember seeing a mural with an Anunnaki depicted on it that was looking to the left. And I was like, oh, wait, the Anunnaki, I saw that earlier. I should just go back to that room. And I went to the right on a specific tile next to his eye level, and bam, that was the solution to the puzzle.
Oh, Jesus.
So if you don't know what all these figures from what mythology was it?
Sumerian.
So if you don't know Sumerian mythology at all, you're just stuck. You're just done.
Well, that's the thing. Each of the areas is themed around a different ancient religion. So you've got, the Olmecan culture, you've got Hinduism, you've got Sumerian mythology.
So you need to know all of them to get through.
You also have to read these tomes and actually have to note them in real life. There's like a lot of them. I don't know how many there are, but you gotta note every single of them. And they're also cryptic. Most of them.
Yeah, you don't need to know mythology. Like, if you examined the background, it would have said a statue of an Anunnaki as depicted in, Babylon, blah, 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 blah. But,
so you could look it up if you wanted to. Like, you could say, okay, what's an Anunnaki look like from Babylon at this time?
Yes. Well, no, it's depicted there. It just, if you look at it, it says, yes, this is an Anunnaki. But,
oh, okay.
knowing that you need to look at that and examine it is such an absolute nightmare that realistically you'll want a mythology degree to stand a chance.
They should make people play that for their final year when doing a degree.
Oh God, yes they should. There's also what's the puzzle?
Intro to Lama.
There was also another
101.
puzzle that I could only figure out because I was familiar with basic cryptography and Caesar ciphers.
There's cryptography too.
Apparently there's a better way to solve it, but that was the most obvious solution to me. Just, look for repeating patterns, figure out what represents the letter E.
This game sounds pretty wild. How long's it been out for?
Oh God, the freeware version. The freeware version has been out for almost 20 years.
Jeez.
The more recent
the most Fear and Hunger fans.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can beat it without any walkthrough, to be honest. You have to be really good. Really good.
I mean, I got past the gate of confusion, but
I don't remember where I left it off, but I remember I gave it 13 hours and I was like, you know what, I can't with this as a kid. And I played poor shit.
Let me write down this name just a second. Okay.
You will not be able to beat it with a guide, unfortunately.
It's sort of terrifying when there's a game that's supposed to be the hardest puzzle game ever, and then it has an area just straight up called the Gate of Confusion. It's like,
oh yeah. Yeah, it's such a good thing because it's this is the tutorial area called the Gate of Guidance, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the inverted version of it called the Gate of Illusions or the Gate of Confusion, which has some of my favorite moments in a video game with presentation and the way it builds atmosphere, as well as some of the most fun puzzles I've seen. And I also remember when I was streaming it, I was completely drunk. Totally wasted, completely gone. And I kept accidentally solving every single puzzle, including accidentally pulling off a speedrun skip. And chat got so mad at me.
Mad? Why mad?
Because apparently someone else had played it and got stonewalled in that area for 30 hours, and I beat it in half an hour.
A slapstick comedy, getting drunk and stumbling through an ancient temple. And avoiding all the traps backwards.
There's actually a really good video about La Mulana on YouTube and how ridiculous the puzzles are. It's La Mulana, my 400-hour journey.
I have to look that up.
Oh.
Because that's how long it took him to beat the game.
Jeez,
You could do a video
400
like, I spent 100 days on La Mulana.
That's the next Mr. Beast video. Making these people stay in this room until they beat La Mulana.
They're gonna starve
my
to death.
There's also a sequel, La Mulana. Would you recommend it? I haven't seen much of it.
I have not yet played La Mulana 2. I've seen someone else play some of it, but I didn't want to spoil any of it of myself because I want to solve the puzzles myself. It looked a lot more action-oriented and more about platforming difficulty than about puzzles, and I really like the puzzles in La Mulana.
That's interesting. I wonder why they changed it. Maybe they didn't like the complaints about it being too hard.
How many items are in La Mulana? Do you remember, Jones?
The thing about that is that answer is kind of a spoiler, because they show you at the start of the game an inventory that has blank spaces for every item, but as a little bit after you get every item, I'll just spoil it. They basically give you a second inventory screen to fit the rest of them.
I actually didn't know that. I guess I
That's
missed it while watching the reviews.
So it's a real Metroidvania, and not just
that's
like
unfair.
not just like recolored keys. It's a real Metroidvania.
No, it is not at all that. There is so much wanton cruelty. I will recommend that you play the re-release because the puzzles are much more straightforward.
Oh, they redid the puzzles in the re-release.
Yeah, like there's one puzzle that in the original required you to type out specific things on the keyboard to be able to make any progress, which wasn't very clear.
Oh, okay.
In the remake, the way you solve that puzzle is by selecting the thing and using it.
Oh.
I do like
forget
it when...
how.
Sorry, you go.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I do like it when games like you to like do different stuff like that, like type stuff out, but you do have to like make it clear that that's what you expect the player to do.
Yeah.
Like that, the classic one was
yeah.
in what was it, in Phantom Hourglass for Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo DS. There's one part, because that was the dual screen system that you could close, right? And there's one part where there's a map on the top, on the stone, and you've got like your hand-drawn map down the bottom, and it's like, you need to press it to the map, and it's like, it doesn't tell you how to do it. And everybody gets stuck there, but you've actually got to physically close the DS and open it back up, and the map is pressed against it. And it's really
how
neat.
you sleep in La Mulana? You know how you sleep in La Mulana? It tells you to freaking sleep at one point. You gotta sleep, you gotta pause the game and just leave it there. And still, I love that.
Yes, if you pause the game and wait like a minute, he has a whole idle animation that eventually ends with him sleeping. And this actually becomes really vital to several puzzles eventually.
Wow.
Oh.
I love it.
That's great.
But there was another puzzle in La Mulana that I was super fond of that's so beautifully abstract and makes absolutely no sense unless you're familiar with stuff like Greek symbolism. The only hint that you get is that the woman shall be pregnant when she is within the man.
When she is within the man?
Yes.
Hang on. Is that Athena? No?
Tangentially, sort of. But you get a statue called the woman statue, and you know that you need to get the mother statue. And what you need to do is follow the through line that the sun symbolizes masculinity, where the moon symbolizes femininity, and that the downwards pointing, or the upwards pointing triangle, which is both the symbol for fire and the sun and masculinity, in Greek mythology, is where you need to take the woman statue. She needs to be brought to the center of a specific upwards pointing triangle, and then you need to wait there for a specific chunk of time, and then the puzzle will be solved.
Wow.
Easy.
This game is absolutely brutal. It is on an absolute another level. I
You're
genuinely
still gonna have a hard time. What?
I genuinely think you need at least an IQ of 140 to even have like a shot at it.
It's
Yeah,
available
yeah,
on
guy.
Steam.
If you're a person who regularly watches Rick and Morty, I think you'll have an easy time. But everybody else, yeah, that sounds
I don't
great.
know how we got into La Mulana, to be honest. We were talking about something else. Oh,
Because
Final Fantasy.
something that's somewhat similar to Fear and Hunger with its incredibly
I
oppressive
guess so.
atmosphere, deep story, incredible difficulty.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember getting turned around when going through the Tower of the Goddess because I was like, I can't make these jumps. And then it turns out, oh, you can just make these jumps. You just have to be really good. I thought I needed an item because the platforming was that difficult.
I hate when games do that. There's a couple of times in Blasphemous 1 that was like that, where the jumping was so awkward.
Dark
I'm like,
Souls
I can't
2.
make this jump. Oh, no, you actually can. It's just really bad level design.
Dark Souls 2 has a lot of those, to be honest.
2 is
Dark
old.
Souls 2?
Oh,
I
Blasphemous
don't
2.
remember any particularly. Oh, you must have been one of those people that was using circle to jump, weren't you?
I was using all the
Yeah.
default.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love Circle Jump, but I hate
So-
it at the same time.
The thing
Oh,
about
actually-
Dark Souls 2 is the jump physics change based on which button you're using, as well as the number of spare cycles your GPU has when you're playing it.
Nah, I thought it was actually like the floor that I'm stepping on at the time that I jump. And also, I played Dark Souls 2 original. I believe original doesn't have you being able to map the stick.
No,
To
the
jump in.
original, the default is the stick to jump.
Really now?
Yes, and
Yeah.
if you use that, you can usually maintain most of your running momentum when you jump.
I'm gonna
But
launch the game. Give me a second. I'm doing
whether
two
or
different
not you can get like the full running momentum is based on how strong your GPU is.
That's
That
amazing.
is
That's actually
bullshit. I
amazing.
hate it.
Oh, it's pay to win.
In a way. I'm launching the game. I'm picking up the code right now.
Yeah,
Raccoon,
that's why you're
it's
having
true,
so
like-
much. Yeah, that's why you're having so much issues with the
Maybe-
jumps, Raccoon. Circle to jump is just weaker.
That's insane.
I hate the shit.
I remember in the first Dark
I mean,
Souls how there was like
to be honest, oh sorry.
you didn't need to jump anywhere in the game except one spot in the DLC, and it's like
Yes.
they never ask you to do it
That's
again.
all?
It's just this one spot, and if you fall down, you just die.
In the basic game though, there is like Iron Keep, I think, where there is the golden serpent ring at the summit of a certain part where you have to sort of platform.
Oh, I was talking about the first game.
Oh, you meant in the
second
first
I
game?
think
Okay,
there was
okay.
more, yeah, but in the first game, you're not required to jump anywhere except that
Well,
one
you
spot.
do need to access a couple of shortcuts.
I mean, it depends on what you mean with shortcuts, because do you consider the skip of the Taurus demon a shortcut to go to the Capra demon?
Nah, you
No,
don't
that's
do
not what
that.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about the cage in Sen's Fortress. The key to open the cage key, is across a bit of broken bridge that you have
Oh
to jump
yeah,
over.
that
Oh,
jump.
yeah.
It doesn't
Right.
kill you though. It doesn't kill you. It doesn't kill you. Which
It
is
does
fine.
kill a bunch of
Very low
fall
HP
damage, though.
does, I think.
Yeah, it leaves like 40% HP.
And what about you, Mouth Dog? What do you suggest as a game similar to Fear and Hunger?
Well, yeah. So there's a game that you guys wouldn't have heard of this, so I'll have to do a bit of explaining here. It's a lesser known PlayStation game called Bloodborne.
Bastard!
I
You
don't know
stole the joke I forgot to make.
I don't know it.
Yeah. Now nobody here would have heard of this, but it's a pretty good game by a developer called FromSoft. You wouldn't know him.
No,
and-
those are the Shadow Tower guys, right?
Yes, actually, that's right. The last big game they did was Shadow Tower.
Yeah, I played it. It sucked.
Did it? That's
Yeah, the
unfortunate.
Shadow Tower games are like Kingsfield was
Wait.
bad.
It's got
Isn't
sick
it from
music, though.
Kingsfield? Are you gonna say again? Isn't it come from Kingsfield?
Yeah, they did Kingsfield. Shadow Tower was like a spin-off,
okay, okay.
right?
Yeah, it's a very Bloodborne-y spin-off. It's just that while the graphics are insane and the enemies look like PS2 models, even though it's on the PS1, a lot of the level design is super linear.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
But seriously, everybody knows Bloodborne. I've been actually Blasphemous 1 and 2, I played them recently, and they've got similar sort of direction in the lore, where there's this big, like this massive, like world-spanning religion, and really, you know, there's a lot of obvious history to it, a lot of references to real-world religion. You are trying to scrape together even a basic understanding of it, and nobody's going to tell you anything. People will tell you stuff, and you'll just be left more confused at the end of it. And just amazing art. Like, one of the things I really liked about Fear and Hunger was the art style. Some people say they don't like it, and I'm like, and I don't get it, because I think the games, Fear and Hunger 1 and 2 are just fantastic looking games.
I think they get let down because of the fact that it's a pixel game, quote unquote pixel game. So they just say, today we have games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, like where the graphic is incredible. Why would I play a Fear and Hunger with a pixel graphic? Bro.
Yeah.
I think it's just my supposition.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. But Blasphemous is a pixel game as well, so sorry Dark Souls fans, you won't enjoy this one. But Blasphemous has legitimately beautiful art. Both the games do. It got even better in 2, like just slightly higher fidelity, and it's just amazing and terrifying NPC designs, because most of the NPCs are like big and monstrous. They're like friendly, but they're like sort of, you know how in those old Renaissance religious paintings, people are always like weird and giant and have weird stuff happening to them. A lot of the NPCs in these games have that as well. And there's one that is sort of stained in my head from Blasphemous 2, where you got to drop off these shards of, I think it's glass, to this woman, and she'll like make your healing items better. And each one you give to her, when you come back, a bit more of her skin is peeled off. And like it gets to the stage where all of her skin is peeled off. And it's just, it's horrifying when you realize what's happening. It's just.
I just realized I have to dip.
Oh yeah, sure. We'll probably be wrapping up soon anyway. So, thank you for coming in, Bonesy.
See you soon, Jones.
Goodbye, Jones.
Yeah, and the gameplay in 1 is kind of janky, and like, you know, everybody sort of admits that. It's okay. It's definitely playable, but it is a bit frustrating at times, but then they fixed pretty much all the issues in 2, and 2 is a brilliant game. I absolutely love Blasphemous 2. Like I've basically got no complaints about Blasphemous 2 like whatsoever. I think it's nearly perfect.
I have a question though. Blasphemous 2 is a 2D side-scrolling, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, my question is, are there level ups?
In a way. So it's not like a full RPG system. Instead, it's more like 2 is a classic Metroidvania. 1 kind of is, but it is a little different. Because the movement upgrades that you get from Metroidvanias, you can get them in the first game, but I don't think that they're ever mandatory to progress. You can just basically do the game normally without doing any of the movement upgrades. But in 2 they are mandatory. But you increase your power by getting, you know, extra health, extra mana, or I think they call it fervor in the game. Extra healing items, because they have a system like Dark Souls, the Estus. It's similar to that. And extra damage, and you unlock extra abilities with your sword as well.
So it's like similar to Sekiro in a way.
Yeah, much closer to that rather than traditional leveling up.
Okay.
Although, actually, no, that reminds me, there is one big downside in the sequel. So in the first game, the game is basically divided into 2 major areas, like the first half and the second half. Sorry, I'm just got a cough. And there's 3 bosses in each. I think there's about 3 bosses in each, and you have to do them. You can do them in any order, which is really cool. So you can do like the first 3 in any order, and then the second 3 in any order. And there's a bunch of side missions and DLC side stuff as well. In the second game, the first half of the game, you can do the first 3 bosses in any order, but then the second half, it's just linear. So you've got like, I think it's like 4 areas in a row that are just completely linear. And there was no reason for it, because I think by that stage you've got all the movement items. And it just feels really strange, and I don't really know why they did it. There doesn't seem to be any reason why. They couldn't have just like said, okay, here's these 4 new areas, let's go do them in whatever order. I don't know, maybe it was to prevent, because towards the end of Blasphemous 1, it had the issue where the later bosses tend to get pretty easy, because you could like sort of, not quite sequence break, but they didn't know how strong you'd be by the time you got there. So maybe that was why they did it in Blasphemous 2, but that was a bit disappointing.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of the problem of Dark Souls 3 on one side, in my opinion, in which like the zones are much less. How can I say it? Much less. There is much less choice given to the player.
Yeah.
The zones are much more linear. You have to do this boss if you want to go to this part of the game. You have to do this boss, and then this boss, and then this boss, etc. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Exactly. It is almost exactly the same issue as Dark Souls 3, to be honest.
I played a game that was like Blasphemous kinda, where you ride a horse at the start of the game. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Imperium, I think it's called. If it's the game I think you're referring to. It's
Like,
the one
you
in
start
which
a game
there is like a little village, there is a portal that brings to demon creatures, and you have to build a city before the demons arrive during the night.
I don't know, but you start with a horse.
Oh, is that Two Kings?
That's all I remember.
Is that the one?
Wait,
Oh no,
isn't
it was
Death
called
Gambit?
Kingdom, maybe. Kingdom.
No, it's not Death Gambit, right?
That's pretty different though. I don't think, are they Metroidvanias? I thought they were like tower defense or something.
I'm trying to not go for the tower for one. No, I don't think it's the one. I know it's Death Gambit. It has to be Death Gambit.
Death Gambit.
I don't know
Death
if you've
Gambit.
ever heard of
No.
Death Gambit.
Wasn't that the one that was
I
like...
think it's this one.
Death Gambit Afterlife.
I believe it is. When I see Blasphemous, it reminds me of Death Gambit, and I had a hard time playing that game. I didn't enjoy it. Made me
it does
think
look pretty
like
similar,
that
yeah.
2D Dark Souls. 2D Dark Souls don't really work.
This
So
is
maybe I will have to try Blasphemous someday.
People said Blasphemous was a bit like 2D Dark Souls, but it was definitely more of a Metroidvania. It was a combat-focused Metroidvania, and it definitely more so in the sequel. They didn't try to be 2D Dark Souls like what was that? Salt and Sanctuary was a straight up 2D Dark Souls, and this isn't.
Salt and Sanctuary, I actually had a really hard time liking it, but I liked it at the end,
Okay.
especially the first game.
Guys,
Mostly because of the movement.
guys,
Yeah. What?
Jones is back.
Oh no!
Oh yeah,
You let him in. I thought I locked the door.
Do you really think a door would stop me? No, I actually realized that I didn't need to go. I needed to go like a half an hour ago, and I've already missed it.
Oh
No, no.
oh no!
Oh, I see. A
Oh.
weakling.
Well, we're
But
racing
anyways,
for
the way I see it, why don't you just compare? Is it possible to compare Blasphemous to Metal Slug, or is that too much of a stretch? Because I never played
No.
That makes no
Blasphemous.
sense.
No,
What do you
no,
mean?
that's
That
they're
makes
completely
sense. What the
different.
fuck?
Yeah.
No, I
What?
was just asking. I was just asking Raccoon. No, don't be like, what do you mean? You're stupid. No. I was just asking
Let
because
me
I never played
compare
Blasphemous.
Mario to
Wow,
Sonic.
Raccoon, I can't believe you would call Fropolo a stupid idiot for saying they're the same game. I can't believe that.
I'm sorry, I never played Blasphemous. I wanted to know, honestly, because I played Metal Slug. I wanted to know if, as a side scroller, it was similar to Blasphemous.
No. It's
Metal
pretty different.
Slug? Wait a second.
It's closer to
Side-scroller
like a
Metal
classic
Slug.
Metroidvania.
Wait, you never played Metal Slug?
You haven't played Metal
Buddy,
Slug?
Metal Slug is an arcade game. What the fuck
It's
is a
rad,
side
though.
scroller?
It's super rad.
What do you mean? It's a side scroller, Metal Slug.
No!
It is.
Yeah,
It's a
side
shoot 'em
scroller.
up. It's a.
Those terms are like basically interchangeable. I know there's going to be some like hair splitting definition of it, but they're basically the same. Everybody call it the same thing. So Game genres are the most annoying words, like definitions ever.
I guess so, yeah.
I bet it's so funny Raccoon has to complain about everything I say.
Listen,
Every
Pablo,
time.
you're wrong most of the time, and you freaking bring up a fucking porn game into the stream for no reason.
Bro,
stream
you are
instead
literally
fucking
playing
podcast.
Fear and Hunger, which contains those things too. You cannot just say to me
You know,
that I
let
shouldn't
me
bring that up.
Let me reach Orange, and I'll tell him, hey, you see that game? This one? Okay, add the death things. Add them
Bro,
into
do
Fear
you
Hunger
remember?
2. Come on.
Bro. Heartless Angel Ketsueki was literally a friend of Miro that worked together to Miro to help him with the project, like a beta tester. And she played the Lone RPG too. Are you saying we are both crazy or something? Whoa!
Okay, so
Easy play with Apollo.
on one hand we have
No,
Fear and
I love
Hunger,
you.
but with sex, and Fear and Hunger, but with furries. So which one's worse, guys? What do you reckon?
Exactly, and Fear and Hunger, but with the incredible PhD of everything.
I mean, Fear and Hunger with fairies is obviously just the worst version. Because, I mean, well, technically Fear and Hunger already has both furries and sex in it.
That's true, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
If we combine them together. But
And
anyways,
that's what makes Fear and Hunger such a unique gem of a game. It has dicks, furries, and sex.
Yeah, it's got the worst of everything. Just mix it all up, and then you get an amazing game out of it somehow. It's like times you get negative by a negative, right?
Just to be sure you don't misunderstand me, Raccoon, I love you. I'm just, getting excited with the conversation.
Oh, oh, that's where the audience goes. Oh. It's a very special episode of the New Gods podcast.
Well then, any other topic that you guys have?
I mean, I could suggest Black Souls also, but I think for today
No,
that's
you
enough.
can't. You're not allowed.
Why?
You're not allowed.
You're not allowed
Okay.
because I was going to suggest Black Souls as my third one.
Oh, go ahead, Jones. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Why not? Let's talk about what's Black Souls. Give us a rundown.
Black Souls is an H game.
That's two
but,
H games so far.
The H is just terrible, and nobody actually enjoys it or pays attention to it.
Wait, just to precise, in the first game, the art is not good. In the second game, it's gorgeous. But I'm not talking about what you see in the art. I'm talking about the style. But continue, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, it's really interesting stylized and conveys a lot of emotion, but it is not good for H purposes, let's say.
Yeah. In fact, I don't think the developer made the game. I think the game is more supposed to be in a sort of like if you think also about the themes of the game dissociates itself from H games a lot. Like it's brought up only as a plot convenience, but for the rest it could be like sold. There is also a in-game sensor mode which makes you skip all the H scenes. So like the game is an H game only on paper, basically.
Yeah, there's just an option during character creation to turn it off. And that's how I played the game when I streamed it, and it was a pretty cool game. It's more Dark Souls than Fear and Hunger, but I mean, you take Dark Souls, you add sex, you're almost Fear and Hunger at that point.
Yeah.
And it has a really unique combat system. Kind of difficult to explain, but you meter out specific chunks of your turn with different actions that control that each have different time costs.
I mean, it's the same combat system of Final Fantasy VI, for example.
Well, not really, because Final Fantasy VI, using your action consumed your whole ATB bar. In this game, you consume portions of it.
No, wait. In Final Fantasy VI, if you do certain actions, you consume too a certain portion of it.
Are you sure you're not misremembering?
If I remember correctly, if you defend, you consume only a part of it in Final Fantasy VI.
Oh, that command that I never use. Okay.
Is it similar to that? What's that? That Japanese horror game?
Oh, World of Horror. Yes,
World of
I
Horror.
was going to bring that up. World of Horror is also very similar in terms of combat.
Yeah, you described that, and I'm like, that's exactly the same as is what World of Horror sounds like, where, you know, yeah, you've got like a time bar for your turn, and then each action takes a certain amount of time.
It's similar, but the key difference is that each action gets executed and subtracts from your time bar, and you have to wait for it to fill up again.
Oh, okay.
Rather than rather than selecting a series of actions that fully drains your bar, you select one action that partially drains it.
Oh, okay. Is it like active time? What do they call it? Active time battle? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it's an active time battle which
call
stops.
it, but it's not really active time.
So it
like,
pauses as well.
Yeah, it pauses as soon as someone's turn comes up, and until they execute their thing. So it's closer to what Final Fantasy Tactics did.
Yeah.
Because I hate active time battle. I tried playing off. I couldn't play it because I hated it. Even though it was just like spam attack, I couldn't stand it.
I played only the first game in the series, and it is very authentically Dark Souls because you pick Sorcerer and win.
I mean, that's more complex. Like, I played a lot of different builds on the first one, especially. It's also completable at soul level 1, difficulty 9, but the point, spells are busted. If you know where to go, what to take, they just destroy everything.
I didn't know what to go or what to take. I'm just very thorough when I explore. So I wound up with like all of the best spells way before I was supposed to have them, and I was like, oh, a boss fight? Let me cast one spell.
And the funniest part is, in the game there is literally you can keep 4 rings, if I remember correctly. Maybe 2, maybe I'm misremembering. But there is a ring that literally doubles your magic at the cost of doubling the magic cost. But there is also a staff which makes the MP cost 0, so you can literally double 4 times your magic.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's what I did.
Exactly. That's how you beat the game easy mode.
I heard the lore was pretty good in the game too.
The lore is pretty good. It inspires from Lovecraft.
Okay.
It's basically, what if Lovecraft wrote Grimm's fairy tales?
That is a compelling description.
And not only Grimm's fairy tales, like if you go into the second game especially, it also involves Carol and Anderson a little bit.
Yeah, Lewis Carroll is also in there. The Wonderland bit is one of my favorite bits in an RPG because, like, you know how the whole thing about Wonderland is that you're supposed to be feeling like you're going crazy and you can't tell what's going on and yada yada? The way they got that feeling across, because they did successfully convey that feeling through the gameplay mechanics, was by making it impossible to tell if the game was glitching on you or not, because that's what it feels like the first time you enter it.
That's great.
It feels like the game is corrupting or you accessed a wrong map. It feels like something got screwed up somewhere. But no, that's the intended experience.
Wow. I've been playing a lot of games like that recently, actually. I've been going through and playing, I'm Scared.
Not only do I know I'm Scared, I know the guy who made it.
I'm Scared? Is it the game where you have like to turn on all the lights?
No. No, I'm Scared.
No,
it's
the game where the easiest way to describe I'm Scared, if you've seen it before, is you wake up in your apartment and try to open the front door, and it gives you the message, I need a human heart to open the door.
I don't remember this.
You'll recognize the face if you search it really quick. It's like a super generic description, but it was one of the first big one of those games where it's like, ooh, trippy, spooky, lots of doing the same things over and over again.
Yes, it's like the PewDiePie / Markiplier game that.
Yeah.
Yes.
All of those big people played it back in the day.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, it's actually kind of annoying how many times it actually closes the game down on purpose. It'll just shut it down. Like there's segments where you touch the wrong thing and you just get stuck in a loop if it just touches you and it just resets.
Oh.
Open it back up again. But it is funny how glitchy, how it fakes being glitchy. And of course, I played Doki Doki Literature Club, which does that a lot. Spoilers, I guess.
Wait, what did you call it?
It's Doki Doki Literature Club.
Doki Doki!
Yeah.
It's called Doki Doki, yeah.
It's Doki.
You never played that?
Doki?
It's Doki, not Doki.
Doki Doki, okay.
It's
Doki
Doki?
Dosi Do.
Oh.
Doki, yeah.
Dosi do.
I thought it was Doki.
It's not Doki.
The one from Discovery Kids. Doki.
But my actual favorite one was from. Have you guys played Pony Island before?
I
No.
have. I was gifted the game. Yes. I didn't know what the fuck I was playing. I loved it.
it's pretty fun. It doesn't take. It's similar to those sort of games where it's like really meta and stuff, but it doesn't take itself very seriously at all. Like it's not. It's like one of those fake horror games where it's like sort of having a laugh at itself. And there's one point where you've got to answer a bunch of questions. There's a bunch of challenges, right? And this guy is like, you have to focus on me. If you look away, I'll know. And you have to answer these questions. And it's stuff like type the number 999 into the box below. But then just before you go and do it, he'll switch the number just for a split second. And if you're not paying attention, then you're typing the wrong number and you get punished. And it does a bunch of meta stuff like it'll have a fake Steam pop-up of one of your friends talking to you and trying to distract you with it.
Yeah.
It was awesome when it first did it. I'm like, oh, why is this person talking to me? Oh, wait, no, it's the game. And
I remember talking back to them. It was like, nope, I didn't message you.
I was like, that can wait a second. I'm in the middle of this. And then it starts like responding to what you're typing in game as well. And it's like, it was really good. And one thing it did was that when you go to type something in, it like freezes. It does a classic thing where it's a fake freeze. And then like, it says it's gonna like send an error report to Windows and what have you. And then it comes back and then the character like looks at you, it zooms in and he winks at you. And that like just sold it for me because like it's exactly the same as every other game's done it, but the wink was just like perfect. Thank you. It's a great game. Had a lot of fun in Pony Island. It's the fear and hunger of Dark Souls of metagames, I think.
It's the fear and hunger of Dark Souls of metagames.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big chain.
Sorry, what were we talking about?
I mean,
That reminds me.
I
need
feel
to
like I can just
popularize-
access.
I need to popularize two very important terms: Souls Punk and Soulscore.
Oh no. Okay, what's Soulspunk?
I
Go ahead.
don't fucking know.
What did they call Blood Bowl before it came out? They called it like Sick Dark or something. Do you remember
wasn't
that?
it the steampunk?
Yeah, like
Maybe.
steampunk, but Souls Punk. Because
Yeah.
like Dark Souls, it's Dark Souls Punk. Souls Punk.
It's
What does
Soulscore.
that actually mean? Well, you know how anything is the Dark Souls of whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
basically it. It's the Souls Punk of genre.
Yeah.
I feel like I can just suggest any game, to be honest, and it's just gonna make part of the podcast for no reason at this point. I could if you want me to. I don't know.
Also, since Jones before made a discussion about there are a lot of games which have certain parts of fear and hunger, but not all of them. There is one game I would like to suggest because I kind of reminded it in these days and it made me cry because of the emotions. It's a game that gives you the same sense of liberty, like you have this mission, go where you want. The important part is you have to fulfill this mission. Just go where you want in the world and that's it. But it's not a dark game. It's actually quite charming with a lot of funny characters, etc. And it's called Digimon World 1.
Digimon World 4?
remember that.
Oh yeah, you reminded me just now. I remember, buddy. People in the comments have been asking us to play Digimon World 4, all of us, online.
Really?
And you know what? We should do that, I think. Yes? There have been people asking us to play that.
Digimon World 4 was for PS2.
We can make it online. It's just an emulator. We buy the
But
game.
Digimon World 4 was for PS2. How do we...
Yeah, and GameCube.
No, see,
as
it was
well.
for PS2, and Frapolo's, potato PC lags on Fear and Hunger, so how are you expecting him to run a PS2 emulator?
Yeah, I don't know. If that's gonna happen.
In the past, on the previous PC, I played Persona 4, and it lagged so badly that I wasn't able to enjoy anything. Of course, I have the original game, by the way. I have the original Persona 4 in my house. But still, the point is... I tried Persona 4, which is for PS2 as well. All the cutscenes played at like 60% of the speed. The fights were literally not doable. I was trying to defeat the first boss of the game, but the game, since the battle was too long, kept crashing, and I was never able to defeat it. But then
You know what I did?
Yeah.
I skip frames. I would eat like
Yeah.
4 frames to be able to
Exactly.
actually.
I skipped all the possible stuff, like playing at the worst conditions possible. The game went at 90% of the normal speed, but at least I was able to finish it.
Same. There was a fight with Naoto's shadow that lagged the fuck out of my computer.
I can emulate PS3. Get owned.
Jeez.
Now we can easily. Now we can.
What do you even play from PS3 though? Like, what games are there?
You know what
Like
we
one?
could play?
Demon Souls? Demon Souls at 60
online.
FPS.
Demon Souls. Ooh,
Demon Souls
that sounds
online.
pretty good,
There's actually a community. Yeah, there's a community for Demon Souls.
Huh.
And that's the only real game on the PS3.
And that's the only
worth
game,
your
yeah.
time.
From soft
on
games.
PS3, there is a Final Fantasy X remastered.
Just play on PC, right?
Yeah, so
I
like
mean,
I was
yeah.
saying, Demon Souls is the only game on PS3 worth your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking Final Fantasy X too, which does have a lot in common with Fear and Hunger.
Wait, which common theme?
Wait, no, I think you guys had a lot of games introduced. Should I introduce mine?
No, wait. Before you introduce yours, I want to know what is the connection between Final Fantasy X-2 and Fear and Hunger?
Most of the combat system being relatively deep.
Was Final Fantasy X the one with lightning?
No,
Yeah,
that's
that's
Final Fantasy 13.
Oh, okay.
But what do you mean, Final Fantasy X-2? Like, the deepness of that combat is literally just get the monsters that are the strongest, get that accessory in the game that gives 100 to all stats, and win.
Isn't that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about
I don't
10-2,
know
not
much.
10-1.
I still
Yeah,
have to play that
10-2.
one.
In that one, there is an accessory that gives 100 to all stats.
Huh. Well, never found it, so.
What? Oh, okay. Interesting. I mean, if you played the original version, there wasn't the tournament expansion that was added with the remastered, so maybe that's why you didn't find it.
I mean, I never played 10-1.
You never played 10-1?
What is 10?
No,
Is that like the first version?
It's the... Okay, there's Final
Yeah.
Fantasy X and there is Final Fantasy X-2. To make it clear, I'm just calling 10-1 to distinguish it.
Okay.
Okay.
What's 10-2? Is that a remake or is that the sequel?
It's the sequel. The sequel.
Okay.
It's the sequel where you play as, like, a group of J-pop idols with transforming magical girl costumes.
Oh, that sounds really rad. I kind of want to
Yeah, I
play it.
remember that one.
It also has my favorite worst character design in anything.
Oh,
Which one?
Nuge.
how do you
Let
Who
me
was Nuge?
pull
Oh,
up a picture
Nuge! I remember
so you can
Nuge
laugh
now.
at this man. In fact, I would recommend that Mao edits this image onto the YouTube video so that people can appreciate just how absolutely garbage
Oh,
This
this
man's-
guy. I've seen
Zip
this
Up
guy.
Onesie is.
What a ridiculous design.
This is the
What
definition of
this?
overly designing
This looks like
someone. Like, you
Shin
keep
Megami
adding stuff.
Tensei character levels.
The
Like,
difference is Shin Megami Tensei characters are cool. This one is just overly designed with so much stuff that it's just goofy.
How do you spell his
you
name?
said goofy? Give me a second.
What do you even call that hairstyle?
Sephiroth?
No, Sephiroth had like straight long hair.
Yeah, like, how do you even do that in real life? Like, you have to strategically gel it so much that the hair stands still in that precise pose.
I actually know a guy who did something about this ridiculous with his hair. You can't use gel at that length. You have to use wood glue.
Oh.
He's got, see, look, you can see his hair is like split off into two as well. Like he was going to do twin towers, but then one side he decided to make a noose apparently. And the other side is like the,
Yeah.
the weird...
No,
the
I think he
lightning
just
bolt?
has like that one like really high ponytail that loops, that like goes down, then loops back around over, and then goes up.
Yeah. What is
And
he
not
doing?
only that, like, this is supposed to be one of the most important characters of the story, but he's like the stupidest character.
Yeah, so Raccoon, what game did you want to talk about?
I want to talk about a game that is like Final Fantasy.
Oh,
Oh.
Yes, because Final Fantasy is that, this, that. You know what? Fuck it.
Go ahead.
People should know about this game. It's called Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass.
Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass. Is it like an indie game?
It is an indie game. That actually didn't have much growth, sadly, but it's very, very, very good. It's a beautiful
It's an
game.
game because it sounds like one.
No, it's not. No, I don't play H games.
If you're in hunger.
Oh, I've seen screenshots of this
not.
before. Yeah.
There's a glass system in this one, like one of those Final Fantasy games, which I forgot which one it is.
A glass system.
3, 5, tactics, 10-2.
I think it's 3 or 5 that
Oh,
I always
glass
been told.
system. Okay.
The thing about it is that when you are playing this video game, you can change to a class. For example, the speed class, which has speed abilities. You have the tank class, which has tank abilities. You have the physical damage class, mage class, support class. Whoever finishes the combat will level up and will be able to give abilities of speed to another character. Get it? So like if you're level 20, you can have level 20 abilities to the other classes. And you can make a physical character with speed abilities.
That's
Oh,
interesting.
so exactly like Final Fantasy V then.
Okay, there you go. That's the one. And what it is impressive about this game is that it looks very basic, but this has been done by one person, and it is 70 hours long.
Jeez.
Oh.
That's massive. What the hell?
Without extra content, without repeated content, without
Wow.
grinding. 70 hours long of pure story.
Jeez. That's insane.
And there's a lot of builds you can make. You can make a tank build. You can make a physical build. You can make a mage build. It depends on what you want to be doing right now. And
Can you
it's
screw
beautiful.
up your build?
Yes. Yes, you can do that.
Let's play for
You can
70
get
hours.
soft locked.
And he gets soft locked with the boss.
There's a lot of people who actually are angry at this game because one of the last bosses requires you to really know about the mechanics of the game. And if you mess up, you pretty much have a boss that revives every single one of their allies, and you cannot win the game.
Wow.
But for a final boss, extra content. Because the main story, it isn't the easiest, but it will not require you to think that much. There's mostly about extra content that will be pushing you to the point that you have to really think about the game. Most of the extra content will show you images like this ones, for example, things that are like completely out of nowhere, like just so weird to look at. And the difficulty of the game mostly comes from that. If you see things that don't make any sense to be an enemy in the game, that just straight up scare you, that is something that is strong and will take a lot of planning. The scarier the enemy is, the more HP it's gonna have, or more damage it's gonna do. It's gonna have a gimmick, right? Stuff like that. I just love it. I just love the contrast because it's mostly a kids game in a way, but it brings stuff like this out of nowhere that just makes you feel so worried. And the soundtrack of the game, it just gets in your skin, to be honest. It's so scary, to be honest. It is
Weird.
quite scary. And knowing that it's 70 hours long and that there's a story going on through those 70 hours without repeated content, it's just beautiful.
What is the pulsating mass? Is that a spoiler?
It's a mass that pulsates.
Oh, okay.
So the story is about Jimmy, which is the main character, going through linear worlds, let's say. And they are slowly revealed that there's a pulsating mass in the world that they have to find and destroy because the pulsating mass is coming towards them, right? And Jimmy and his family is your team that you're going to be having throughout the story. His family is mostly about a mage, a support, a tank, a physical damage, a trickster, who are gonna be changing every now and then who's gonna be part of your team and who's gonna be doing other stuff. And it's gonna have this chrono trigger approach where characters grow through time. So a character will no longer be a physical character, and they will just completely just abandon their party and do something else. And you'll see them growing, right? But it's mostly about Jimmy, who needs to be careful of this pulsating mass that's in the world. Try to stop it from growing.
Is he like uniquely aware of it?
Jimmy is a character that doesn't talk. He is a silent protagonist. The only characters who speak in the game are their family members, and their family members usually have to deal with what happens around. Like, for example, Jimmy is in a place filled with like enemies that are like, I don't know, gory, or enemies that are like childish, and the characters around them will just react to it, right?
So Jimmy's
But
like
Jimmy
Doom
will
guy,
not say anything.
and he just wants to kill the mass.
He will not say anything. He doesn't even do
He just
anything.
wants to kill.
But in a way, yeah, he's down to destroy every single one of the 30 that are gonna be in the game. But there's one thing that I gotta tell you that could be a spoiler, which is at the start of the game, when you, as soon as you go through the game, like 5-10 minutes in the game, you will have a scene where your parents are like, oh, let's do the sexy time, right?
Yeah.
And you end up opening the door into their room, and instead of seeing anything sexy, their dad and mom are doing the hula hula. They're dancing. Right? And you see that, and that's it. So
I
you
was hoping
can
that was going to
guess
go somewhere
exactly.
like what Harvester did for that.
Yeah.
Mhm. So you can guess with that knowledge what this game is pretty much. Maybe. I don't want to say anything because
So
most
pretty
of the game is going to be in the story and trying to figure out what's actually going on. But the gameplay, it's amazing. You can make builds that are just extremely fun to use.
I'm sorry, is there an
But you
ability
gotta
called
know.
Imagine Goon?
The ability called Imagine Goon is able to transform you into the class Goon, low-level Goon, which is the luck class of the team.
Oh, okay. So guys,
become
make sure to
a
play
goon,
this game if
yeah.
you want to become a gooner.
Yeah, you do fight at one point. This is massive spoiler, sorry, but you do fight a high-level Goon at one point. So you start low level and you have to take out the high-level Goon. Yes.
Raccoon doesn't know what gooning is.
Oh no. Nobody tell
I don't
him.
think we should tell him. It'll be funnier if we don't. Nobody in the
What?
comments explain it either. Let him
Yeah.
live in blessed ignorance.
Yep, yep.
You know what?
Raw high
I'm
level
gonna
goons
show
here,
you. I have the
boys.
picture here. Here you go.
That's me. That's literally me. Wow. I've achieved the peak of gooning.
What does gooning mean, guys?
I'm not
Oh
even
my God.
kidding. I'm not even kidding.
All right, this sold me. I'm playing this game now.
But what does gooning mean, guys?
Don't worry about it. I'll
I
tell you
don't
when
know.
you're older.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you mean older?
So does anybody
No,
else
no,
have
come on.
any games that they would like to recommend?
Yeah, one if you're specifically looking for like horrible, disgusting, dark content in
Yeah.
a way that's presented rather maturely.
Mm.
It's not the whole game, it's only a specific fifth of it. It is Zork Nemesis, a freaking agent point and click that I have an absolute love for.
Zork Nemesis. What's it about?
What is it? Can you say the name again?
Zork, Z-O-R-K, you know, that famous adventure series that nobody remembers
Mhm.
nowadays. Nemesis.
Zork Nemesis. Let me look it up.
What's it about?
I mean, the plot of the game as it's presented to the player is that some alchemists were making all sorts of crazy advances in science and magic, and then suddenly there were no more reports coming from where they were working. So they sent out a guy to investigate, and the guy never came back. So now they're sending out you to investigate.
So have fun.
And
right?
the actual premise of the story, the actual thing that it goes through, more than anything is about child abuse.
Oh. Okay, so quite heavy themes there then.
Yeah. Particularly in, like I said earlier, the Grey Mountains Asylum, where an alchemist, the Alchemist of Air, who was really only interested in his research, had a whole host of men and women that had essentially been stripped of all rights that he could, execute freely if he wanted to, researching into the nature of the brain.
Ooh, no. That sounds pretty ominous.
It's difficult to overstate how dark that game gets at that point.
Is it like, would you say it's as dark as how Made in Abyss gets?
I'd say if this section of the game was a 10, Made in Abyss would be about a 7.
Okay. Well,
one of the first puzzles in the game involves, well, not in the game, but in that section of the game, involves severing and then reanimating the head of a former patient there and putting it on a device that you can simply press buttons to stimulate emotions. And rather than actually talking with him, pressing those buttons to force him to experience the right combination of emotions to give you what you're looking for.
That's terrifying.
And you have buttons like, anger, happiness, sexual arousal.
Jeez.
And it gets more than a little messed up, because part of the puzzle is learning that the key that you need is in the stomach of another patient.
Is this just a saw trap?
It's like a saw trap if it made sense for the twisted mind of the researcher who was doing all of that.
When did that come out?
God, like 96?
Jeez, is it like, how do you even play it then? Is it like on Steam or?
It's on Good Old Games, or you can just run it through DOSBox, or if you still own the CD like I do, you can do a couple of things with configuration to make it compatible with modern operating systems.
That's pretty cool. It's crazy.
But yeah, it was one of the first games ever to have CD quality audio.
Huh. Does it still sound great today, or is it?
Oh, absolutely. The atmosphere and the music is absolutely incredible.
That's actually something we didn't discuss. Really, is the sound design of Fear and Hunger.
There is a little problem with the sound design. While the sounds are perfect, like I think the dogs barking, for example, is fantastic. Or even if you're talking also about the soundtrack, if you mean the soundtrack or just the sound effects.
My favorite part of the sound design in Fear and Hunger is the mace sound.
You mean the loudest thing in the fucking world?
It's like twice as loud as everything else.
They gave me Tonight 3.
Yes! That's why I love it.
He made a fucking audio mod that lowers the shit out of them.
The only sound that I really dislike a lot about Fear and Hunger is the one of when the final boss of Ending B appears, because when it does, there is a very loud sound compared to everything else.
The ringing
and
sound.
like every time it happens, if I don't lower the volume preemptively, like I literally get my ears destroyed. And like the other sound effects are in a normal tone, and if I keep the volume in that way, I just go boom and it destroys me.
Yes, you know what, for Volo, you need to use my audio mod. To lower the
No,
sound.
I don't like to use other modes. I don't even use my own bug fix mode during videos.
You know, I
No,
actually
you
don't
need
even
to
use
use
my
nothing.
own sensor mod when streaming. I think about it, so yeah, it makes sense.
I use
The
my
real
sensor mode
fear
when
and hunger
streaming.
is when your ears get blown out. That is the true essence of the video game. It's core to the experience.
It's the
Fixing the audio
sacrifice.
is like adding an easy mode to Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You have to suffer, but I don't like that part. Like, I think that suffering is unrequired.
Well, get good, scrub.
I can't
Sorry,
get
this
good.
game's
I
not
can
for you.
lose my.
If you turn the volume down,
Get
you're
better
not
ears,
deserve to
pretty
play.
much.
Sorry.
I can lose my ears, but if I do that, then I cannot play any other game. I guess.
If you turn the volume down, you have to hand over your gamer card.
Yep. Sorry, that's how it is.
My gamer card.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
You
gamer
can't call
card.
yourself a gamer anymore.
I don't have a gamer card. Where do I do one?
You don't have a
Shit,
gamer
you
card?
admitted it.
Oh.
No. What do you mean? What
Well,
do you
thanks for
mean?
being on the show,
Hey,
Apollo,
Rapolo.
but you're not coming back.
Nice. Yeah.
No, wait.
Yeah, so for those in the comments wondering, this is a podcast for gamers only, so
Yes.
we just can't have Frappolo in here anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Should we let Frapolo join back? In the
Vote
comments,
now
let us
in
know.
the comments below.
Yeah, let us know if you want Frapolo to come back. Should we wrap up? I think we've talked about plenty of games. We've been going for ages now, so.
Yeah,
sure.
it's probably a good time to wrap up.
Okay, so thank you all very much for coming in today. Thank you, a Dark Raccoon, or Bones Jones, and one more who shall not be named. Yeah. That's it. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys next week. We got something fun coming. So make sure to keep listening.